So when I go on a trip, whether it is for work or for fun, I go all in.
Welcome to Leaders of the West, a podcast for innovators and changemakers. I'm your host, Jessie Jarvis, the founder of the West, and I'm sitting down with agriculturalists, entrepreneurs, executives, and everyone in between with the goal of digging into the strategies, mindsets, and lessons that have been crucial to the success of ag and Western. Whether you're carrying on the next generation of your family's operation, starting something from scratch, or determined to climb up the leadership ladder, we're going to inspire you to continue to dream big, growing not just you, but the future of agriculture and Western as a whole. Let's go.
We all love a success story, so I am sharing a job seeker success from Of the West. You guys know how much I love getting your feedback about using the platform, and knowing that we've helped provide the connection point for a job seeker and employer is incredibly cool. So here it goes. After spending 4 months scouring various online career platforms, chat rooms, websites, and seeking the right path, I stumbled upon Of the West. It really was a breath of fresh air. Finally, a website devoted to agricultural professions with clear job descriptions and an easy-to-use format. I was able to find the perfect fit for my passion and skill set. We're now 2 months in, and I can't imagine doing anything else. That was sent in by Lane Hale, who is the bull lease manager for 100th Meridian Ranching. If you guys are looking for a new job, or someone you know is looking for a new job, you've got to have Of the West on your radar. There's no place out there that has a wider variety of jobs in the Western industry than we do, and new jobs are added every single day. It's free to create an account, and that gives you the opportunity to add your resume into our resume database, create job alerts for specific positions and companies who are hiring, and so much more. You can go to ofthewest.co, and in the top right corner, click register to get started. That's ofthewest.co, top right corner, click register. You are off to the races. Thank you guys for being back for another episode of Leaders of the West. Today, I am coming at you from my car. I am currently sitting in the school parking lot because I am waiting for Jackson, who is inside because today she is part of a mini cheer camp. And let me tell you, that is not the kind of thing that I would voluntarily sign my 3-year-old up for. And I didn't because my mom did. So a couple of weeks ago, I was in Dallas, and there was a day that week where I knew that daycare was going to close early. So I'd asked my mom if she would go in and grab Jackson and then pick up Jet from school. And I got a text that afternoon from my mom, and she said, "Oh, by the way, when I was at school picking up Jet, I signed Jackson up for mini cheer camp. It's on such and such day from 9:30 to 11:30, and then all of the kids are going to dance at the halftime of the varsity boys basketball game that night." So I totally got grandma'd. Here I am. Jackson is going to dance tonight in front of the whole town during the varsity boys basketball game. So we'll see how this goes. I'm optimistic. Do I sound optimistic? I don't know. Like I said, she's 3. She is a little bit shy. So we'll see how this goes, but hopefully she has fun. So here I am. But I'm getting ready to head to Texas for another work trip the day after tomorrow. So we'll see what my mom signs Jackson up for while I am gone this coming week. But speaking of being gone, I want to talk about my strategy for making the most of trips when I am gone. And this is actually something that I first learned from my mother when I was a kid and we would go on ski trips. So when I go on a trip, whether it is for work or for fun, I go all in. When I am on that trip, I do not check my phone. I am not scrolling social media. I'm not online shopping. Aside from replying to or sending time-sensitive emails, I do not spend time in my inbox because I can do all of that on my way home when I'm on the airplane, or I can do it when I get back home. But when I am traveling, that is my time to shine, if you will. So instead, I focus on doing all of the stuff that I cannot do every other day of the week in my normal life on the ranch. And as I mentioned, I learned this from my mom. My mom is an animal of an athlete. She grew up playing volleyball, basketball, softball. She has 3 brothers. So she was always playing with the boys. She played college basketball at Washington State University, which would have been back in those early years before college women's athletics were really even a thing. When I was a kid, I always remember her she was either out running or biking. She was swimming laps at the pool. As you can imagine, because of those 3 activities, she competed in triathlons. She ran half marathons. She played in 3-on-3 tournaments when I was a kid. And in the winter, she would always take me skiing because that's one of the things that she and her family grew up doing. Now, getting away in the winter for us to go skiing was not that easy because we have a whole feedlot full of calves that we've got to feed twice a day. So it was a big deal for us to be able to go to the mountain for the day. We'd wake up stupid early. And I mean, so early. Like we would have the car packed the night before, all of our lunches packed. We'd never buy any food at the lodge. I remember that. We would always pack our own, but we would wake up so early so that we could get to the mountain in time for the lift to open. So we would be the first ones on the lift that day, and we would be the last ones on the lift at the end of the day before it closed. And usually we would go skiing with some other people from our area. We'd all kind of caravan together. And that was great because then at the time I had friends that I could ski with and my mom could go ski by herself because she was going to lap me if lapping somebody is even a thing on a ski hill. But you get what I'm saying. She was going to beat me by the time I was halfway down the hill. She was already going to be on the chairlift back up to the very top, ready to whip me again. So we would go with other people. And I remember on a number of occasions where my friends would be in the lodge after lunch and I would want to sit down and just hang out with them. And my mom would tell me, Jessie, we did not drive all the way up here just to sit in the lodge. We can sit when we are at home. We came here to ski and that is what we were going to do. So get those ski boots on, get your skis on, and let's get on that chairlift. And at the time, I remember thinking that she was just being a penny pincher, trying to get as many runs as possible out of our season passes. But now as an adult who spends far more time at home than I get to with friends or at events or those types of things that really like fill my cup in that way, I totally understand what she was saying in making the most of the opportunity that you have before you. So when you're showing up to an event, on a trip, at the ski hill, wherever you are, go all in behind the purpose and the reason for why you are there. And I know this probably sounds really simple, but I will tell you what, anytime that I go on trips, especially work trips, I see people making these types of mistakes often, right? They are scrolling their phone, checking social media, not paying attention to the conversation, or they are writing their to-do list, or all of the things that, again, they could do when they're in the Uber, they could do when they are on the plane, they could do when they get back home. It is not necessarily something that needs to be done right then and there. And instead, because those minutes and moments are so precious, it ends up being wasted time. For example, if you are at an event and you are scrolling on your phone, you don't look very approachable. And it doesn't matter whether you are standing there scrolling on your phone, if you are at a dinner table doing it, it looks like you are preoccupied with whatever is on your screen. And you guys, I get it. I'm a mom, right? I could be responding to a text from Justin or, telling a babysitter something about our kids, or like I said, getting back to one of those very time-sensitive emails. So I fully understand the need to be accessible. But there is definitely a boundary of what exactly needs me now. Who are those priority contacts? Your spouse, your kids, your sisters or brothers, whoever that is. Everybody else can probably wait, especially when the reason that you go to an event in the first place is to network with a new crowd. You need to look approachable. Whenever I travel, I always make it a point to attend as many events as I possibly can. That way I can really, truly make the most of every moment that I am given on that trip. And then my other secret is, and this is by no means a secret, but this is something that I always do, and I cannot tell you how many connections or just cool moments or people that I have met from doing this. So instead of getting room service or door dashing something to my room, I always go downstairs and I eat dinner in whatever restaurant is in the hotel. So first tip, I always stay in a hotel that has a restaurant, especially if the event has some kind of connection to the hotel. Obviously, if you are staying at a random hotel and there's no connection to an event that you're attending, then, DoorDash your little heart out, right? But if there is an opportunity to get out of your room and to meet new people or connect with people that you already know, obviously we know that dinner is a great place to do that. And again, whether you are going with other people or you're just going by yourself, I cannot tell you how many times I've gone downstairs to dinner by myself and I have made a new connection or ran into some other people who have introduced me to somebody who long down the road, that connection has paid off. And had I stayed in my room, I never would have had that connection. And especially when it comes to going to dinner by yourself, I know a lot of people will say like, well, I don't want to eat by myself. That makes me feel weird. Why? You need to start getting comfortable with taking yourself out to dinner. If that is something that you don't enjoy, then start practicing now, because you don't have to be on a work trip. You don't have to be staying in a hotel to go to dinner by yourself. Being able to do that, like that is really, as silly as that sounds, like a superpower. So you can get in your car right now. Maybe you're already in your car if you're listening to this. Drive yourself to the nearest diner and go eat by yourself. And this isn't something that I have always loved doing. I actually still remember the first time that I was at a work trip. I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I was so hungry, and all I wanted to do was lay in bed, and I didn't know anybody at this event. I had never been to Charlotte before. I was really, really young. I was probably 21, maybe 22 years old. So I knew absolutely nothing at the time. But I remember I thought to myself, I'm never going to meet new people if I am staying in this hotel room. So I went downstairs and I sat at the bar, and lo and behold, I ended up meeting people that then I got to spend those next few days with, which was great because I was able to go to the event the next day where initially I knew nobody, but I already had 3 friends that I had met at dinner the night before. So like I said, this is not something that I've always loved doing. It's something that I have learned to really get comfortable with, eating by myself, whether you're people watching, sitting in my thoughts, definitely not scrolling my phone, because again, you do not look approachable when you're scrolling your phone. If you want to get work done, I highly suggest take a notebook, write notes down, but don't be on your phone. And here's why. And you guys, let me be the first to tell you this, because I'm not necessarily a people person. I know that probably sounds silly because I probably look like a people person, but I need time by myself to recharge. So I fully understand those of you who are like, no, but Jessie, I just need to get away. And I absolutely understand that. But you are not going to meet anybody new watching TV in your hotel room, right? You are not going to meet anybody new eating dinner in your hotel room. You're not going to meet anybody new standing in the back corner or a back hallway. Like all of that stuff you can do when you are at home. You can do any other day of the week, but you really need to make the most of your time while you are there. And I'm sure that there is somebody out there who is listening to this and they are thinking to themselves, Jessie, I never see you out late at parties or down at the bar with everybody else. So what exactly are you talking about? I think you're lying to us. And that's honestly also the reason that I don't stay out late. I know that in order to perform at my highest level so that I can be the first one on the ski hill and I can be the last one when they shut the lift down, I need sleep. That is a fact about my body. And it doesn't matter if I am on the ski hill or a work trip, because it's been a long time since I've been on the ski hill, but the metaphor still applies, right? I need sleep. I cannot rally if I don't get a full night's sleep or if I have a hangover. If I have a hangover, I literally will have to be in bed the entire next day in order to function. I am not as young as I once was. I hate to admit that, but it is a reality. So if I go out all night and I howl at the moon and then I have to spend the next day of the event in bed, I see that as wasting an opportunity. So I will absolutely go out to dinner for a short window of time, but I don't stay out super late because I know that about my body that I need sleep in order to be at my highest, best functioning level the next day. So that way I can get up and get out of bed and show up as my best self the next day and really make the most of my time off of the ranch, because I know that in a couple of days, I'm going to be back to rural Idaho with my cows and my work from home office, where I don't have the ability to see and talk to the type of people who are going to really continue to pour into me and my business, obviously aside from my friends and family. And I think another way of thinking about this too is I think we've all at some point been home and we have had FOMO of some kind. We're missing out on something that everybody else is at, whether it's people that we already know or people that we want to know. And I will tell you, as somebody in my 30s who lives on a ranch in Idaho with aging parents who need my husband and I to be around, with 2 young kids who need their mom, my time to attend events is very, very limited. And I know a lot of you listening to that can relate to that. You maybe get to go to 1 or 2 things every year. So if you only get to attend 1 or 2 things, then you need to go all in on making the most out of those opportunities, because the other 360 days out of the year, it is going to be the same old, same old. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But the reality is there are a lot of things out there that I have to miss out on, or that we have to miss out on. And I know that none of us want to, but it is a reality. And I will tell you that that is really difficult for me as a small startup business owner. We can only grow so much from the comfort of my home office. We have to be getting out and selling ourselves and making connections and meeting new people in the industry. That is the only way that Of the West will ever continue to grow. So when I go to an event, am I just going to sit in the lodge or am I going to get out on the ski hill and make every run count? We all know the answer. So maybe the same theory is actually why my mom signed Jackson up for mini chair camp, right? Maybe she's leaning into the full experience of being a grandma, which is signing them up for stuff that parents would otherwise roll their eyes at. So maybe I'll cut her a little bit of slack. She is living her best grandma life, and I love that. But regardless, I hope this resonated with those of you who feel like you are in the same phase of life. I know that there are so many of you out there, especially those of you who are moms with young kids, and it really does seem like when you have kids and cows or crops, it is impossible to get away. And I hope that we get to see each other in person at an event down the road, because I know how much that fills my cup, and I would imagine that it's the same for you. So thank you guys. I cannot wait to see you next week. There is another great episode of Leaders of the West coming. You guys are going to love it. We'll see you then.
If you loved this episode, do us a favor and share it with someone else who might find just as much value in it as you did. We're on a mission to continue to grow and strengthen the future of agriculture and Western industries, and you spreading the word helps us make more of a positive impact. It also makes a big difference when you take a minute to go rate and review the show. We can't thank you enough for listening, for sharing, and for loving Ag and Western as much as we do. We'll see you back here for our next episode.